Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Meet Your Competition series for the CAE Community of Practice for Cyber Defense. I am Jake Mihevc. Myself and Dan Manson have been hosting these discussions over the last 2 years, and we're really happy to have Dr. Hanan Hibshi with us this afternoon. She is from Carnegie Mellon University, and she's a part of PICO CTF. Today and in our April meeting, we're talking to competitions that cater toward the entry level, the beginning part of the competition life cycle, and PICO CTF has been a staple in that space for years. So we're really thrilled to have you with us this afternoon, Hanan. Please take it away.
Thank you. I am very excited actually to be here. 2 hours ago, actually, we launched PICO. So this talk came at the right time. We launched the competition for 2024. I'll talk more in detail. I will just share my screen. Let's do that. So thank you all for joining today. And I know some people, I've met some people on this call, so I guess there are some familiar names and faces. But for those of you I'm meeting for the first time, I am Hanan Hibshi. I am one of the faculty here at Carnegie Mellon University. My background has been in computer science. Then I graduated with a master's degree in information security here at Carnegie Mellon at the Information Networking Institute. And then I went, this is under School of Engineering, but then I went to another school at CMU, which is School of Computer Science, did my PhD in societal computing. And now I'm an assistant teaching professor at the College of Engineering, mainly at the Information Networking Institute, teaching cybersecurity related courses, but I'm also one of the core Scilab faculty. I'm a co-PI for PICO CTF. And I'm very excited that I am a co-PI at PICO CTF because of the impact and all the amazing things we're doing with this platform. So I'm very happy that I will be talking to you more about what PICO means today. So as I mentioned earlier in the call, 2 hours ago, Eastern time, noon Eastern time, 11,000 players started playing. We've been announcing that we are opening up the competition soon, and just starting at noon with 11,000 players is amazing. Like, it just tells us how much impact we've been doing and how the word has been spreading about PICO. This is our 9th hacking competition, because PICO started as a hacking competition on an annual basis where we invite people to compete. We invite students starting at a middle school level to compete. We even offer awards, and we still offer awards for different categories of students. So for middle school, high school, and university students recently from the US. Japan has their own award ceremony too. They partnered with us and they provide their own awards for their own students. And recently we've been also partnering with CMU Africa, and they've been organizing their own award ceremony. So there are 2 things to PICO. There is the platform itself, and this is something that has been more recent, and what PICO came into to be known as today. So there is a platform, meaning that you go to PICO CTF, you create an account, and you start practicing some CTF challenges. And this way you build your knowledge in cybersecurity. But through the platform itself, you can also participate in special events. And currently we have this annual competition event that happens every year. And this year is our 9th going. The competition opens for 2 weeks in March. The reason why we picked spring is because we know that lots of schools start in fall. So we want to give students a chance to gather, to come up with a team, to practice during the fall semester through their computer club, and then compete against everybody playing from all over the world in spring. So please spread the word, tell everybody about PICO, tell your loved ones, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. We would love to have more people playing PICO, and there is no restriction on who can register. Anybody can register for PICO. Like, we have parents who started playing PICO because they want to see what their kids are learning. We had people who wanted to learn about cybersecurity at some point in their careers, and they started playing PICO. And some people just wanted to catch up on, excuse me, or like to review or keep like their information fresh. So I was hoping that we could that you could see on this Zoom call one of my the people in my team, Megan Kearns, who's here standing in the middle. She's the one who's administrating the whole thing and directing the program for us. And it's been she's very busy today with PICO launching, but she agreed to join us via Zoom. But I just learned from her before the meeting that her registration didn't get approved, so she couldn't get a link to join. But you see, we are a team and we are standing here. This is Megan and this is me and this is David Brumley, the founder of PICO CTF. Ivan here from the tech support, from the tech team. Luke from the educational team and challenge development. And here at the back is Maverick Wu. And all the rest of the people you see in the lectures, in the picture, are either grad students helping with PICO or high school students who won the competition in 2022, which we think is amazing because the challenges we put in PICO reaches a level that is at a PhD level. So they start easy, but then they go to a level where a PhD student would wonder how a high school student was able to solve that. And we think PICO is helping us finding this hidden talent, finding the hidden the talent all over the world. So through picoctf.org, our platform that I just mentioned, people can compete like what's happening today, but they can also learn, or they can learn and practice getting ready to compete. So they can do whatever they want. There's no restrictions. They can move at their own pace. They can choose the category under cybersecurity they want to learn. It could be reverse engineering one day, it could be crypto another day. As long as they find something that interests them. PICO CTF. People sometimes ask us, where did the word PICO come from? Well, PICO means very small, and we figured that we know that there is a CTF culture in many security conferences. So whenever you go to a professional security conference like DEF CON, for example, you find events around CTFs where people who are excited about solving challenges in cybersecurity will go and gather in a room and try to break those challenges. So we figured, why can't we use this as an educational tool? And that's when the idea started in 2013. And we figured maybe we can create an online platform, and it's targeted towards the younger youth. We want to find the hidden talent. We want to find those students who enjoy breaking systems so they would learn how they work. Of course, to cater for different participants, especially younger ones, we figured not only that we will give them a list of challenges to solve, but we also want to give them a storyline where they feel that unlocking something or getting a special a key to enter a room. And those, even the storyline is something that we don't just build whatever. We have a team that we usually collaborate with a team from who specialize in education research, and they the students create multiple themes, and then we sit together and we figure out which one would be chosen for the next competition. Participants are doing amazing things. They reverse engineer, they break, they hack, they decrypt, and as I said, they go deeper into challenges up to a systems level. In one of the years, we even introduced a Rust challenge, and we were nervous about that. We figured Rust is not a very common programming language among many school-age students. How would that be perceived? But we still got people who solved the challenge. They were surprised that we had a challenge in Rust, but they appreciated that there is something new that is challenging their skills, and they were willing to do what it takes to solve it. We built PICO with having in mind that there is some taxonomy of learning going on. We eventually, as we go through the impact of PICO from an educational perspective, we think about the different types and levels of cybersecurity knowledge that exists out there. So we have high schoolers and we have beginners, people who maybe just at a point they need awareness. And to us, if they join PICO, they play a couple of challenges, they enjoy it, they solve it, but they stay at that level. Once it got harder, they're just like, you know what, I don't want to do it. We feel at least we raised awareness. We achieved one goal there. But our hopes is that we interest them enough. That's why maybe we have games involved. Hopefully, they will be able to comprehend more science into understanding how security works by understanding the difference between the areas of cybersecurity when they solve a web challenge versus a binary exploit and why those things are different. Eventually, they will start applying those because as they're solving challenges, they're doing something similar to an undergrad level exercise. Actually, we have our own internal implementation of a PICO CTF server for in CMU that we use for security classes, and I put challenges there. So it's the same platform. It's just I have different challenges that I use for teaching my own classes. The versions that are available on the web are not as much different when it comes to the levels and the concepts and the exercises we're providing. And in some cases, we are hoping to reach the expert level. Of course, you can see that not everybody is going to become an expert level by playing PICO, but we're hoping that we're increasing the pipeline and more people are getting interested and more people will reach that expert level. I remember every time I mention to high school students that they are solving challenges at a grad student level, they open their mouth, literally, their faces. And I usually say it in person when they're here in the award ceremony, because we're talking here about winners, people who won the competition. And they don't believe that. They don't know that they have that talent. And I keep emphasizing that I'm not being nice. I truly mean it. And I sometimes bring some of the grad students I work with, and they will sit there telling them stories about how long it took them to solve a challenge, or they will argue with them on how they went about something. A funny story, I invited one of the winners asked if he can talk to CMU students. And I said, yeah, today, like the award ceremony happened at the same day where was the first day of classes at CMU. So what I did was I invited them to come to one of my advanced security classes that goes deeper into systems. And I said, give your talk there, talk about your experience and see what students would tell you. And the minute the student finished the talk, the students in the class raised their hands and they said, are we expected to know everything they talked about? Because if that's the expectation for the class, we're dropping. And I said, no, but if you don't know what our high school visitor is telling you about, you should stay in the class because these are the things we're going to be teaching you. And that was true. It was a systems-based class. And the student confidence after that went way above than when my first conversation with him. He came back and he talked to me about his future plans and what colleges he wants to apply for. And it was the tone I got from him was really different than the tone when he walked in first saying, I'm not sure about my skills. I don't know if I fit here. They truly thought that this is a game. And it took us some time convincing many students that actually they are learning a lot of concepts. Because we figured out that students are going to use this as a learning tool, we insisted on creating a gym. And thanks to support from our partners, we went from just a competition that runs every year to a platform that offers a practicing gym, meaning that there is an online area in the platform where people can go to what we call the PICO gym and practice through solving challenges. And these challenges are challenges used in older competitions because every year we release a new set of challenges. And if you're wondering who writes challenges, it's lots of our CMU students. Many of the challenge writers are members of the hacking team at CMU, the PPP team. This team is known for its good reputation playing CTFs. Like they've been winning multiple times in DEF CON. I think we won 8 or 9 times out of 10 or 11 or maybe 7 out of 9. I'm losing the math. I just know that we win a lot, if that counts. So in addition to practicing skills, students also participate in competitions like the one I mentioned earlier today, which is the one that started today for 2024. But recently, we also started training the trainers, training the teachers themselves. We're bringing teachers in at CMU here in person. We do a workshop, and it's mostly hands-on, where we teach teachers how to use PICO into their classroom. They want to introduce a class on cybersecurity. They don't know how to do it. They don't know where to start. We even encourage them throughout the workshop to create their own syllabus for a class and then discuss this with us and get some feedback from their peers or from us. And we learn from them as they learn from us. Like, for example, they would tell us things like, I can't present this challenge in my school because there are restrictions due to the firewall that the school has. And because of that, I cannot use this challenge. So what are your solutions? What are your suggestions? And then we brainstorm through multiple options. Thankfully, we received a Gen Cyber grant support for that. Otherwise, it would have been very hard to run the teachers camp. We did this for the first time last year, and we're running another camp this year. If you know any teachers who are willing to come to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania and attend our workshop, please tell them to go to picoctf.org, and they will find the information about Gen Cyber and they can register. We are all over the world. We have, as of today, we have over 550K active accounts. These are like active learners, people who are actively using their PICO CTF account. People from all over the world are using it, and we have data from everywhere. But I'm highlighting those 3 regions, Canada, Africa, and Japan, because these are countries that are hosting their own competitions based on the PICO competition. So they give awards for winning teams based on their performance in PICO, and we know that through their partnership with us through SciLab. Dr. David Brumley, my colleague here, the founder of PICO CTF, went on Twitter and said, I really want to know how was PICO important in your life? And these are just some of the quotes we got from people, some of the responses that talk about how people maybe change their mind about security. Somebody said, I was afraid of CTFs before PICO CTF. People talked about how they changed how they made a change in their career path based on playing PICO CTF. This is only some of the responses we got, and if you just look up the PICO CTF handle on Twitter, you'll see lots of those stories being shared, which is very warming for our team to see how much appreciated we are by our community. We collect demographics, but it's an opt-in, meaning that this numbers might be accurate, might be not accurate. You might see here, one thing that you notice is that we 47% of our applicants, 47% of our of people choose not to answer the gender question, for example. Another confounding variable here that we have is in one of the years, we went and talked to some female participants in person. And we collected some data through a research study, and we had some anecdotes from chatting with female participants. And here is what we found out. Interestingly, a number of female participants register as male. We found this weird. And when we asked about it, one of the female participants said that one of the reasons why she picked PICO to play is that it's online. She doesn't have to be in a room with her team. So she met the team through Discord. The discussion was all about the skills. Nobody brought the gender issue. Nobody asked what gender you are. and she felt she's like a person. Nobody cares what her gender is, and she used an avatar that doesn't say male or female, and she said this is a different experience than walking into the computer club in my school at high school at the time, because if I walk there, I'll be maybe one of the few females, if not the only female in the room, which makes it feel uncomfortable because nobody looks like me. Everybody is looking at me and they're questioning my ability just because I look different. So based on all those responses we got from female players, we believe that maybe there is a bias there. We looked at data from gaming platforms in general, and we found that it is not an uncommon practice for female gamers to register on gaming platforms as male and use male avatars. So the data might not be accurate. However, I have to say that I have been seeing more female participation in PICO when it comes to leading things within our own team. Like I've seen more female students stepping in, more female students writing challenges, more teaching workshops, more involved with our team when it comes to research or development. That could be for many reasons. It could be that we are seeing an increase in female participation in computing in general, not to the numbers we wish, but we're seeing the number moving. My sample could be also biased because at CMU we reached about 50% female in our undergrad CS degrees. So, and I think engineering has also a closer percentage, maybe 45 or 50%. But we are hoping to increase this number. One of the things we did is we helped organize CTFs in some local events, that are focused on female participants, like a CTF in WESIS, Women in Cybersecurity Conference in 2021. Some of our students helped arrange all of that. It was a special CTF through PICO CTF platform arranged for participants in the conference. We did another event with the Diana Initiative, which is focused on minorities in cybersecurity in general. The beautiful thing about PICO is that there is no cost. The platform is free. We are hoping that it stays free because getting funding for PICO has been one of the challenges for us. If we are only able to provide PICO for free, if we have support from industry partners, from partners of Scilab, from entities that understand the value of PICO, and then they're not funding new research. Because when we get funding for research, that means this funding is going to go to researching how to improve PICO, paying for that work, but not for paying the prizes and the awards and running the platform, which is another line of support. However, we are very happy that we do have lots of amazing partners. This is a list. As you can see, there is a list of partners on. This is like a snapshot from our website, and all of these are Scilab partners who chose to specifically support PICO. And I think that is that makes us very happy and hopeful that in the future we'll continue to see more support. We are a community. We have some Discord servers, and we talk to our followers, and we talk to gamers. People who compete even report problems when there is something going on with the server, and we appreciate that everybody feels engaged. We do lots of outreach with teachers. Even before the Gen Cyber, we had a special channel to talk to teachers and listen to them and get their feedback. There was a couple of times where we had multiple teachers reach out, and we went and did a Zoom session, and that was before the whole world started using remote work. Like that was prior to pandemic, where we actually told the teachers, hey, how about we hop into an online session through Zoom and we talk to listen to what feedback you have for us. Why would partners choose to partner with us? Well, first, because they know there is a huge reach. We have a platform that has lots of active users, lots of hidden talent in there, and lots of those partners would want to raise awareness about their own organizations, and sometimes they would love for young talent to know about them so they can explore opportunities with them. Another thing that they love about PICO is that we are providing a platform that's really very simple. When we talk to partners and they're like, can I create an account? I'm like, yeah, go to picoctf.org. And they end up creating the account on the spot. They see for themselves how easy it is to access our platform, how to start playing the challenges without installing anything. Even for the web shell, we provide a web shell for students so they don't have to use terminal. So we think about those simple things because in our mind, we keep in the back of our heads that there are students who only have access to Chromebooks that schools gave them. So we don't want to create a barrier of entry. We really want to make sure that we don't require special technology or special tools so everybody in the world can learn. I'm not saying we're perfect. We still need to do more testing. We want to test things on iPads, for example, on smaller devices, but at least we are trying to lower that technology bar. So all what they need is some form of a laptop that's decent enough to access the internet. We are authentic. We don't just go and put anything in our competition and call people winners. We don't cheat our students like that. We think and throughout the year and sit with each other as a team, and then some of us sit with students and we talk about the learning ramp. We talk about the outcome. We talk about what is it that we want to teach students, and we try to stay cost effective. We try to use every dollar we get on PICO, and most of it going to students, whether they are winning or whether they are the ones who are writing those challenges. Many of the times we can't even afford to pay the challenge writers. So believe it or not, they write those challenges out of passion for us. They just love PICO. They want to contribute, and they feel they're part of something big. We keep the names of challenge writers forever. So each challenge has its author name attached to it. And when students see that, first, they feel appreciated. And second, we're teaching them about integrity in an implicit way where someone would need to always give credit. By no means I'm claiming we're done. This is an ongoing work. We continue to investigate and identify challenges, limitations. Before this talk today, I was just meeting with one of our partners talking about what are we going to do next? What is our plan for the next year? And there are many directions where we can go. PICO opened up this opportunity for many around the world, but it's also opened up a lot of questions that sometimes require empirical evidence, sometimes require some teaching technology, sometimes requires updating or revisiting the concepts that we're teaching. For example, do we want to introduce blockchain? Do we want to introduce AI? How should we introduce AI? Should we teach AI? Should we use generative AI in the back end? Lots of ideas. And then we'll also have to be realistic about the time and capabilities of the current development team, and then our funding. Can we hire someone to do this extra thing that on our wish list, and so on and so forth. So this work is non-stop. But allow me to give you some examples of this work that I'm telling you about. In one of the years, 2019, we decided to go and look at the solves and look at how many people solved everything. And we found out that our lowest was binary exploitation. And it's not surprising for us when we see that reverse engineering in some other years also becomes a lower category. So we start investigating in those things. Like, why is it? Is there something wrong with it? Like, is there less challenges? Is there less of a learning ramp? So we went and we said maybe it's the online effect. Some of these things needs to be explained. So we went and collected data from the mini CTF that we did in WESIS 2021 for the female participants. And again, those categories were the lowest. So a student came back and studied this and said, I think the beginner challenge in those two areas is not a beginner challenge. We still need to have more beginner challenges in there because it is a dry, harder area compared to everything else. The other thing with binary exploits and reverse engineering, they require some systems and knowledge and C code understanding. And if we're talking to high school kids and we're talking to university students in their first or second year, it's not necessarily that they have C knowledge. Many schools don't teach C. Schools like high schools teach Python or Java if they're going by the AP curriculum. So why would I expect them to capture things like buffer overflows in C really easily? So as you see, we're now going into the US education system. And yes, we did look at AP CS principles and AP CSA, and we did see what is it that they teach, to the point where once we hired a student who actually went and reviewed one of those AP classes and created a curriculum based on PICO, where if a teacher in a school would want to introduce security but not teach another course, they want to do it within the AP course, she gave them ideas on how they can use PICO in doing that. And the first time we introduced that idea was during the Gen Cyber teacher camp last summer. We interviewed the winning teams and we did some focus groups with them in 2019. And as I met the story about females challenges and line of thinking came also from some of those focus groups. We were very excited when we talked to those students because they had no training in becoming a software engineer. They had no training in how to work with a team, but they had skills that we would sometimes teach students to work on when they work in groups. For example, they talked about how they were all from different time zones. So how they managed to work around the clock, taking advantage of them being from different time zones. The top winning teams weren't from, like most of the top winning teams weren't from the same school. They recruited each other from Discord. Yes, they interviewed each other and they asked each other about skills and they decided who is and who is not on their team. And when they shared which states they're from, they were like East and West, like they're not even from neighboring states, because all what they cared about is the mission. We want to win this. We're going to hire for this. And then they talked about how they divided the tasks and how they identified who's good at what. And, when we were talking to them, we got this feeling of we're talking to engineers. We forget that they're students. The way how they conducted themselves and how they talked about the team organization and how they moved through their tasks was really very impressive. And that's 2019. That's the year before we taught the world to work, for the world learn on its own to work remotely. So I think it was impressive that they were ahead of their times. They worked remotely. They were very successful. They won. And they showed us all that innovation and creativity can cross many boundaries. This is a picture we took last year from our Gen Cyber Camp. I am so proud of many of the students. There are, believe it or not, some of these are teachers and some are students. So because some students were so excited about running those camps and teaching and giving back and talking to high school teachers. I want to highlight some of the data we had in Africa because we had a partnership recently, and in Africa, they did an amazing initiative with raising awareness about PICO, telling the population that, hey, there is this tool that exists if you didn't know about it. And if you're not comfortable, maybe we can give you some training. They hosted some information sessions, somewhere in person, somewhere online, because the CMU Africa's campus reaches out to many countries in Africa. It's based in Rwanda, but the work that the researchers do there reach for many other countries in Africa. They had lots of outreach going beyond Rwanda, and they made sure to cover many of the topics that are included as part of PICO's ATF platform. This way, people will have some background of each of the categories used in PICO. through the partnership we have with CMU Africa, we provided CMU Africa with an Africa-only leaderboard. So this way they can see how their teams are competing against each other. And we continue to work with them to leverage some resources and tutorials. We learn from them again, and they learn from us, and we share experiences. The picture of high school girls in East Africa is always a warming picture to look at. And it makes a lot of us really proud that we're reaching everywhere in the world, and we're reaching all those amazing communities that get excited about cybersecurity. We are out there. And, you know, as an educator, even though I want to increase the pipeline, but I feel if these students go anywhere, they become doctors, engineers, lawyers, whatever path they want to do, accountants, actors, I want them to, in the back of their head, know how easy it is to break into a system. Every time they create a password, they worry and they're like, maybe I should use a password manager because I cracked passwords in one of those PICO challenges. We're hoping that this awareness becomes ingrained. People just don't think about it. It's just hygiene, just like we brush our teeth every day. We do see lots of an increase in female participants. We do see an increase in every category here. And I think the team size, of course, it didn't change, but everything else has been going upwards between 2022 and 2023. And the reason for that is, I think, is the outreach and the targeted marketing and the training and all that effort that started to pay off. Remember, we started today for the competition for 2024. Please spread the word. Tell everyone about PICO if they don't know. Encourage everyone to play. It's really a fun game. I even introduced my son to it when he was in middle school. He's not doing cyber, so I'm not winning the pipeline thing there with my own kid, but he at least knows about crypto. I remember I was sitting once trying to draw a protocol between Alice and Bob on my iPad, and he was, I think, 8th or 9th grade at the time, and he looked at me and he's like, Mom, what you're drawing makes no sense. Why you're doing the public key first, not the private key? I think you should switch the order. I'm like, wait a second. Before we discuss which key first, how did you know that? And he's like, didn't you tell me to play PICO? I said, yeah, but I thought you gave up. He said, yeah, but I learned enough about Alice and Bob and crypto. I'm like, maybe I should go back to the team and tell them that our crypto challenges are fun. Maybe we need to work about the other things that less fun. Anyways, I'm very happy that I talked to all of you today. But if you know partners who want to participate and be part of this or partner with us, as you all know, faculty, we are amazing at being late to respond to emails. But I try my best not to be late to respond to emails, but I'm not the best person to contact to talk about partnerships. Megan and Michael Lasante at Scilab will be amazing because they know everything and they have answers to many questions that any future partner would have. But also, if you want to email me, feel free to do so. I love to talk about PICO, and I am, of course, ready for your questions.
Wow, Hanan. I'm not even sure where to begin. What an
question.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. Okay, so all right, so I would be talking from the perspective of I'm a professor. I would like to get this into my classroom. I don't know if I could have a class compete during that window of time, but are there challenges that I could do as assignments?
Yes. So in the classroom, there are many things you can do. So if you make your students sign up through PICO CTF, you can use the challenges in the gym. You can identify which challenges you want them to work on. It's amazing for a class exercise because then you get to see them, you get to go through their progress and see where they're stuck. As a teacher, you see the challenges. There are two approaches. The first approach is you sit there and try to solve it. But the realistic approach, you won't have time because you are preparing for many things. I hear you. So we also provide a link to a YouTube channel. There are many YouTube channels that try to solve PICO challenges. and many websites that put write-ups on how to solve CTF challenges. People are dedicated. But the one that we recommend on PICO CTF, it's by Professor Martin Carlell, who used to be at CMU, and he's one of the PICO supporters, and he is now in Texas A&M. So in his YouTube channel, he keeps them very brief. So educators like you would really appreciate it. There is not a lot of talk about, hey, come to cybersecurity at the beginning. It's really to the point, 10 minutes or less, and it's just a screen, and he shows how to go about the challenge and how he solved it. So it's just very quick. And that could be one way. So you can create those exercises relying on the gym. So they all create an account. I think there is a classroom feature where you like you add them to a classroom and then you see their progress, which is also a nice feature. There is lots of guidance for teachers on the platform. If you still need help with that, we just shoot me an email, and I'll be very happy to have somebody from our team or a student to walk you through some of those options.
Thank you. Thank you. That's perfect.
Hanan, tell us about your challenge library. If you're looking 9 years of competition, your gym has been up for a decade. How do you keep your library fresh? What do you do with your deprecated challenges? Is your team so good that you're just cranking out awesome new challenges all the time? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the team is so good. I have to give it to the students, and they keep us young and fresh and on our edge all the time, because there's always something they know that we didn't know. And they bring to us things that we didn't think about, and we appreciate that. So I don't think it's hard to find challenges. It's very hard to find the time and resources to write the challenges. Some ideas remain the same, like buffer overflow is a buffer overflow, but what's going to change is maybe the storyline or the part of the code. It's not going to look the same. So if you use the same payload from last year, we shifted things a little bit, and that is okay, because at the end they're practicing a concept. We think of it just like we think of math. Adding is adding, but there's no enough adding exercises. You'll keep doing additions and subtractions and multiplications, and we consider them exercises, and you just keep changing numbers and orders. And the same thing here, you change the specifics of the problem, but we continuously look for new problems. We didn't run out. Sometimes we try to be creative and we stop. We're like, how are we going to be? Sometimes we do feel confined, especially for very specialized challenges, things in the reverse engineering and the binary exploit category. So I do admit that sometimes it becomes more of a challenge, but thanks to the PPP team of students that we have and the support network from many other students in other programs, we're able to pull this off. I would imagine if a school if we had a limited number of resources or a limited number of students, it would have been more challenging to keep a challenge library like that.
Thank you. Could you talk about the levels of your challenges? So I think many of us kind of perceive PICO as being entry level just because it's one of the more accessible competitions that's out there. You mentioned some PhD level challenges. How many challenges do you have at each level, and how do you rate them, and how do you track how many and challenges you have at each skill level?
So in the back end, we track everything. Every challenge gets recorded. It gets a record and an entry in our database, and we log the difficulty level we think of. And then after that, we view the solves, and we talk to players, and then assess if our initial assessment of difficulty was right or wrong. We provide hints for the harder challenges. So we also have another database of hints, and then sometimes if we hire the right student, they will be going through the hints, telling us if they're actually useful or if there's something better that we can put in there. But with the way that you can tell very easily is that when you go and play a challenge, there's a number of points associated with it. And just like in gaming, the higher the points, the harder the challenge. So that's the easiest way to assess. 50 points are like beginner entry level challenges. 100 still beginner level, but like maybe you'll do something more. And then once you go to 300s and above, that means it's very, very hard.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the crowd? Well, we give everyone a last chance. Hanan, I just have to say we've been running these for about 2 years, and I'm really just struck by how robust your organization is. You know, we often have suggestions for presenters. In this case, it really feels like your organization has really checked all of the boxes and built out supports and systems around each element of your mission. And so I really, really appreciate your presentation today, and I'm personally inspired by it.
Well, well, thank you for the amazing words. I'm not teaching today. I teach on Mondays and Wednesdays. So maybe that's why I'm using all my energy in this presentation, because it felt weird not talking this morning. But I have to acknowledge that this is a team effort, and PICO started in 2013. And even the slides today came because many members of our team were doing something. Somebody collected data, and somebody built a slide, and somebody had something to say, and everything is a team effort in this team. And I'm really happy that I got the chance to talk to more people about PICO. It is perceived as beginner friendly, but students can reach very high levels in there and learn a lot, and more than they would give themselves credit for. And it's just a platform out there for everyone. Anybody at any age can decide just to play for fun. You don't have to compete. You can just sign in, create an account, and just play a challenge every week or every day, depending on your availability, if you want to just mess around with challenges and see what CTFs are about. Sometimes if you want to mess with their language, write Rust, maybe you'll go learn Rust and then solve a PICO challenge, and there you go, you got a homework. So it can be used in many ways, and we're excited to see that our community is growing. In fact, I do meet students here at CMU who would come to my class and say, I started playing PICO in 2018. I'm like, oh my God, I've been teaching for that long. So they tell me how to introduce them to PICO, to security, and then they went in their school and took security classes, and eventually they applied to master's programs because that specializes in security. So we have evidence from everywhere that it's working, and I guess we're hoping that we continue to do this work in the future, so more people are impacted by PICO, and we could providing the resources.
Well, we will certainly spread the word, and the CAE community is up to, I believe, 430 schools now. And this will be archived on the Community of Practice website. And if you didn't have a number of CAE followers, you will after this. So thank you very much for the thorough presentation, and we really enjoyed having you.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.